G'day, welcome back to another video. Merry Christmas everyone. Santa's due to come tonight. So we'll see what we get. Anyway, just wanted to do a bit of an update on the top force, the custom top force I'm building. It looks much the same as the last video, I know. Anyway, the electrics are all in and it runs. I haven't actually driven it, but I know it runs. And I changed all the screws to stainless and things like that. Modified the ESC, and yeah, we'll see all that in a minute. In the next video I'll get onto the body, get that all done, and the under tray. So there'll be the under tray, the body, and now Owen from Revive RC has also sent me 2 cockpit sets for the top force, so it'll have a driver as well. Nice. So yeah, there's nothing up here, so he'll sit in there nicely. Beautiful. So we'll get into the video and we'll have a look at the Revive RC body and cockpits and then get into it. And there's our Revive RC body, wing and under tray. As you can see, under tray's looking very nice. Actually, it all does. So I'll be doing this in the next video. I'll trim them up, paint them, throw some stickers on, and we'll be able to call it done. As you can see, no roof scoop there. Beautiful. I like it with or without the scoop, either way. And there's our wing, 3-piece. I think I'm going to leave that clear, but we'll see what happens. And just this week, the cockpit sets have arrived from Owen at Revive RC. He was nice enough to send me 2 of them. Magnificent. Thank you very much, Owen. So we'll just have a quick look around it. And as you can see, the seat area wraps right around. Looks nice. And up the front, you've got 2 areas for gauges. Well, 4 if you kind of look at it. You got the one on the side there, and you fit 3 sets of gauges across the front. And your helmet goes right there. Basically, any Tamiya helmet. So that's going to look awesome with the cockpit all painted up. Alrighty, we'll get onto the chassis. Now for the J12 part that goes in here. They use a plastic piece. I didn't like that. I wanted it to look like the standoff at the back there, or all of the chassis standoffs. So I used along one of the back ones and just put it in a drill and used a file and carved the end down. So there it is. Fits in. Looks the same as all the rest. Matches them. Looks good. Now onto the servo. I'm using a Power HD PGC D12 low profile servo. Now I had a bit of an issue with this. Not really an issue, but more about aesthetics really. You'll notice the cable comes out the opposite side to the spindle, which most other servos, they come out the same side. So that means the back plate's upside down when you fit it in the car, and yeah, the cable comes out the wrong side. I want the receiver on the other side. So all I did there was take the back plate off and lay the cable right across the board at the back and come out the other side. Then I just put the back plate on up the other way and fitted some nice alloy servo mounts. Then it was time to get onto the servo saver, and there's our standard Tamiya one. I didn't like that. I wanted something with a little bit more bling about it, you know, an alloy one with a bit of black and a bit of silver. So I had a whole selection there, and I ended up with one of these made by GPM. I think it's basically a gear shifting servo saver, like off a Traxxas TRX4 or something. Whatever. It's compact, it's alloy, it's got a bit of bling about it. All good. From there I set out to change all the screws to stainless steel. I actually looked for the titanium set for the Evo, but couldn't find one in stock anywhere, so just bought all these stainless steel screws and stuff individually. I think they look pretty good, and they're not that heavy. And we'll be running brushless and LiPo anyway, so that little bit of weight just won't matter. So getting back to the steering servo, it was time to test it, so time to plug in the receiver. And we're using the Futaba R214GF-E receiver. Little 4-channel, and it's got the internal antenna. Nice and neat, got to be happy with that. So I've got the servo plugged into the receiver, and the receiver's just plugged into a random ESC I had sitting around. The servo saver looks a little bit close to the front there, but it'll be fine. It doesn't actually hit it. We'll call that precision. Now, time for a little test. And that's working beautifully. Nice and quick. Now moving on to the top deck. When you buy the carbon chassis kit for the Top Force from Tamiya, on the top plate it's got RC car and carbon composite. I don't know, I think it just looks very cheap. So I wanted to get rid of that. So I basically used a few grades of sandpaper, slowly sanded it back, and and then polished it up. I think it looks much better without that other printing on it. I might use the Top Force Evolution stickers on it, the carbon technology ones and things like that. Kind of needs something, but those other ones are just pretty lame, I think. Now onto the ESC. I've got the servo wire there and the servo, kind of going with the black and silver theme. So I looked at the Hobbywing Max 10. I thought, yeah, silver heatsink, we're good. But then I looked at the wiring. I thought, that's got 4 wires on the switch, this and that. And it's waterproof, so doing the soldering in that's going to be a bit of a pain. You got to remove the coating off it. So I went with a quick run 10BL120. It's got 3 wires on the switch, 3 wires for the servo, of course. So I've got a few black servo leads there that I can use, and a bit of 13 gauge wire, black silicon, so I can replace all these, because it's just far too colourful. And we've got the red heatsink. I need to do something about that, so I'll get onto that with some oven cleaner and clean that up. And yeah, wires should be pretty simple, just unsolder and solder them on. So of course the first thing to do is tear it all apart. It was pretty simple, just 2 screws and kind of pops apart. Then you've got 2 boards inside you got to separate. So on this board we'll be changing the switch and the other wire to black, of course, and make them a bit shorter. And just like magic, it's done. Got our short black wires on there, looking good. Hopefully it works. Then onto the top board, I unsoldered all the wires, and I gave the heatsink a nice drink of oven cleaner. Being careful not to get it all over the board, of course. So that's looking nice silver. And for the fan, I just took the plug off, put a little bit of tube over it to cover the red wire, and put the plug back on. And of course we've got a Dean's plug on the battery lead there. Changed the motor wires to black, and also changed the capacitor wires to black. Now we can see the ESC in standard form. Very colourful. And that's the latest version that I created. I think it looks much better, much more in keeping with the silver and black theme. So, does it work? So I've got everything plugged in here. The motor wires are just temporary. And you got the receiver plugged in, and I plugged a different servo in just because the wire for the other one isn't long enough. So I'll turn it on and see if we get smoke or not. And there you go, it's all running, servo works. And you can see that front one way working when I'm in reverse. There you go, reverse works, forward works, all good. So then when it's time to fit up the ESC, and I've put the plugs on the motor there, I left the colourful insulation off them, because they're too colourful. And got the ESC down there behind the servo, looking good. Got the switch and capacitors both mounted. Got the receiver tucked in the side, and it's great having the receiver with the internal antenna. Don't need the antenna post or the hole in the body or any of that. Beautiful. The sensor wire for the motor was a little bit long, so I just kind of went around the outside of the fan. I think it looks okay. Now I can put the top plate on the chassis and basically call it done. So I have a bit of a look over the chassis, and you can see where I've been changing all the screws to stainless. Some I use cap screws, other places I use button head or countersunk. All depends what I needed at the time. And as you see on the back there, I use the countersunk washers. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it so far. I'm liking the reasonably tidy wiring there, and I like the brass and the gold bits sort of popping out of the silver and black. I will change the screws on the top of all the shocks. They're just too long. I didn't want to cut them, and being stainless steel, it'll take me an hour to cut anyway. But yeah, I think it's come along pretty good. Be getting onto the body soon, and also the cockpit since that's arrived too. Naturally, I changed all the screws underneath to stainless. I still need to do the 4 screws for the battery retainers though. And that's pretty much it for this video. It's all done. I'm calling it done anyway. I probably shouldn't though, because I know I'm going to change these screws in the tops of the shocks. They just stick out a little bit too far. We'll see what happens. I'm thinking they're 20 mil, like the Top Force instructions say to use. I just don't like them. They stick out too far. I'm going to go probably 16 mil. Should be sweet. Anyway, that's about it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. Merry Christmas, everybody. And have a great new year. If I don't see you before then, I think I will. Alrighty, catch you later.